Tasha BookishRealm, and I am back with another video. Today, as you can see by the title, I am here with BookishRealm's Comic Corner, and I'm here to do part one of my comic book recommendations. So if you guys didn't know, like, I read a lot of comics, a lot of graphic novels, a lot of manga. So I wanted to give you guys some recommendations. I have some categories, and I try to pick titles that are not as popular on BookTube. Some of them still are, people know about them, but others I don't see as much on BookTube, but hopefully, you know, you get some recommendations. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. The first one being horror, then LGBTQIA plus recommendations, slice of life, sci-fi, fantasy, and then other. So these are ones I wasn't sure where I would place them because it seemed like they kind of crossed multiple lines. But we shall see. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first category is horror. The first recommendation I have is Something is Killing the Children, and this is one that I found digitally through Hoopla, which is an app that my library has. With that being said, if you need a digital way to read comics, Hoopla is definitely the way to go. Double check with the library to see if they do have access to Hoopla. It's where I get a lot of my comics from. Something is Killing the Children is, and I'm not finished with it, 6 issues long right now. I think I've only read about 3 or 4, but it's about this monster that is coming into this town and essentially is killing these kids. No one knows that it is happening except this random girl who ends up coming into town, and she talks to one of the boys who was present when his friends were killed by this monster, and she is there to kill this monster. Now, I don't know how far this is going to go or what it's going to imply, but I've been enjoying it so far, and I definitely would place it in the horror category. The second recommendation that I have is definitely one that is more well known, especially with the series coming out on Netflix that I do not enjoy at all, and this is Locke Key. Locke Key is a series about this family that moves into the Locke house, which is a family house of theirs, and they discover that there are these keys, and these keys do a series of interesting things. On the side is kind of a plot of this menacing character that is attempting to get access to certain keys to do some things with them, and it's attributed to the children's father's past. I don't want to give too much away. It's pretty good. I definitely would recommend reading the comics over the TV show. I don't really feel like they've done a great adaptation. Then again, I haven't watched all of it, but I'm not feeling it. The next category that I have is LGBTQIA+, and I have 3 in this category. The first being Avant-Garde, which I just recently read the first volume of this. I cannot wait to dive into volume 2, and it is about these group of characters that are on this basketball team, and they're not a good basketball team, but they work together as a team. They're getting to know each other, and it centers around one character that transferred from one school to this school and have pretty much vowed never to play basketball again until she figures out that it would be a great opportunity to make some friends and get to know some people. I really enjoyed it. I cannot wait to pick up volume 2. And anything, y'all, that I have a review for any of these, I will leave down in the description box below because I usually do the reviews on my blog. The second one that I have is Bingo Love, and this is such a great love story. I know a lot of people on BookTube have read it, and I love that it is a love story between 2 people of color, which we don't see a lot of that in comics, not even just the LGBTQI plus side of it, but just people of color in comics is starting to pick up pace, but it hasn't always been a thing. So I definitely I enjoyed the fact that it did focus on that, and it was pretty much about their love story from beginning to end. It was so beautiful. It was so heartfelt. I know that a lot of people who have read it have really enjoyed it. So that is one that is a little bit more popular here on BookTube. And the next one that I have in that category is Fence, which I think a lot of people have read as well. Fence is about these kids that are at this fencing academy, and I don't even want to say much more than that. You just really need to pick up a volume. It's really great. I have only read volume 1. I need to make plans to read volumes 2 and 3, but I did enjoy what I have read. Next category that I have is Slice of Life, and the only one that I have in this category for right now is Giant Days, which centers around students who are at university, and it really just follows their day in and day out things that they do at university. That's why it's more slice of life. It's just following them. There is no particular plot or anything like that, but I I've really enjoyed it. I think I read up to volume 7 or 8. I want to go back and do a hard reread. For the sci-fi category, I have 2. The first one being The Woods. The Woods is about these kids who are in high school who end up going to school, and then their whole school gets transported to another planet, which is a very weird very weird scenario, but they end up having to survive on this planet. And it's some weird things that happen on this planet. This is another one that I need to catch back up on because I think I read to volume 4 or 5, but I think there's about 9 volumes of this that are out. I also have The Girls, which is something that's really hard to describe. The Girls is about these aliens that are women, where they look like women, that come to Earth, and then whenever they sleep with a guy, they lay eggs and it hatches more of them. It is the most disgusting thing that I've ever read, but I really enjoyed it. It is a huge, I read the entire bind up, so it was like 300 or 400 pages, but I devoured it in a couple of sittings, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it was like making my skin crawl and itch the entire time I read it, but I just couldn't put it down. Next category is fantasy, and I have Blackbird, which is so hard to describe, but it has some like mythological elements to it. And it's about this girl who essentially is supposed to become part of the circle of gods and goddesses, but her family doesn't want her to, and there's like different groups of it. Is so intricate and so fascinating. It reminded me a lot of the next one that I have in this category, which is The Wicked and Divine, which is about gods and goddesses who come back every 90 years, I believe, but only live, and they take the form of humans who are already here on the planet. And it is cross-cultural, meaning that they're in gods and goddesses from so many different cultures. It's a fascinating comic, and it's a lot of beautiful artwork in it, and it's one that I will read time and time again, one that I try to push on people all the time. It's just a really great graphic novel or comic. And in the other category, we have quite a few. I won't go into specific, I haven't really gone into specific details in any of these because I could talk about these for ages, and this video would end up being 30 minutes. First one that I have on this list is Lady Killer, which is about a 1950s housewife that is really an assassin, and it is the most fascinating thing that I've ever read. It's only 2 volumes. I wish there were more. I was hoping that there would be more, but I think right now there's only 2 volumes. I also have fables in this category, which you guys know that I love. If you're into reimagining of fairy tales, like I've talked about in quite a other few videos, fables centers around these characters that are fairy tale creatures that end up in our world trying to run from this evil entity called the adversary. And it is just such a good series. It is a long series, I will say that, so that's the downside. If you're not looking to get into a very long and complex world, I would not recommend checking this one out because there are spin-offs for days on this one. The next one I have is I Hate Fairyland, which is the most inappropriate. It looks like it's for kids, and it's not. It definitely is not for kids. When I first picked it up, I was like, oh, this is a cute, like, kids graphic novel. The first page, the main character is sticking her middle finger up at the reader. So if you haven't read I Hate Fairyland, I definitely would recommend checking it out. It's hilarious. This girl who is gets captured and taken to fairyland, and like kids go there, they have fun, and then they come back home. For some reason, this little girl gets stuck, and she ends up being stuck in her body, and she's like 30 or 40 years old by the time that we get to the start of the story, and it is hilarious. I definitely, like, if you're looking for something that's it has a lot of comedy in it, I would definitely recommend that one. And the next one that I have is The Beauty, which is, I think, kind of almost a little sci-fi-ish, but I didn't know how to categorize it. It is about this illness that is an STD that people catch, and it makes them beautiful, but then people who get this disease spontaneously combust. It is the weirdest thing that I have ever read, but I really enjoyed it. I think there's 4 volumes. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself. But I know that I have read 3 of the 4, and if there is a 4th volume, I'm gonna need to go back and reread the first 3 because it's been such a long time since I've read it. The next one after that, of course, is Archie. This is the Mark Waid one that came out starting in 2015. If you are looking to get into Archie, or if you're interested in the show Riverdale, this is such a great way to jump into Archie's story, but there's so many different storylines with Archie. But if you're newer to Archie, I would recommend checking this one out. I believe it's only about 6 or 7 volumes. I think I've read most of them, but I definitely need to catch up on what I haven't read. Last one that I have on this list I think has also been made into a TV show, and it is Deadly Class. It is about a group of students in the 80s who actually are training to become assassins. I've only read the first volume, and I know there's like 8 or 9 volumes of this, so I need to reread and do a refresh. But I do remember I thought the art style was different, and it was just a complex and intriguing story. I'm gonna have to look into the TV show to see what it's all about, but overall I really enjoyed it. So that's it, y'all. Those are my comic book recommendations based on certain genres. This is just volume 1. I will be doing more of these videos as I begin to read a little bit more comics. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comment box below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll be back with another video soon.